another delicious day here in the Let's Make Food from Food Kitchen, and today I'm tackling a turkey. Per the request of Carl Smith, thank you so much for watching. Carl Smith has requested that I do a turkey and show you how I carve it. I did come right out and say I'm not the best carver, and that's okay. We don't have to be. There is a technique that I've been working on, so I'm going to try and show that to you, and hopefully that'll be helpful. I'll also do that in a separate video so that if you don't want to watch the turkey, you can just watch the carving. So what I have here is a 10-pound turkey, 10.5-pound turkey. I always keep the tag if I'm buying one that has a tag. If it's a label or however it comes, I always want to make sure I have the exact weight. So when I'm busy and trying to calculate everything, I haven't forgotten what it is and then have to get out my scale and deal with all of that. So I keep the tag. This is a butterball. Turkeys are scarce this year. Have you guys noticed how much less are in the stores? What happened? Okay. So the first thing I want to do is make my herb butter so that can kind of get the flavors melding into the butter. So I have 6 cloves of garlic. This is a cup of butter. You're supposed to soften it. You can melt it some. It's not great if it's totally melted though, because then it doesn't stick to the turkey in the beginning so well, but it's gonna eventually melt anyway. So all I'm doing is just getting the garlic pressed into my butter. I'm gonna chop up my herbs. I have rosemary and thyme from my garden, and I have sage from the store because I didn't grow sage this year. So the sage, I'm just pulling it off of the stem. And your oven should be preheated to 325 degrees. You might notice that this oven's not on. It's because this isn't going to fit very well in there, and I don't think it's going to cook as evenly as I'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep it here, take it over to my kitchen, roast it, bring it back, because it's got to cool for, you know, a good 20 minutes anyway. So by the time it's back here in this kitchen, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, I'm going to set this aside so I've got room to work. I have some salt here. It's about, a messy tablespoon of kosher. The butter is unsalted. If you use salted butter, just omit that salt or go lighter on it. But you do want some salt. And you're gonna go for about a teaspoon of pepper. Fresh cracked is always my preference. Once again, as always, use what you got. So don't stress about, oh, she said it had to be this way. No, it doesn't have to be. There are bonuses, perks, flavor bombs that come with using fresh herbs, but dried herbs are still herbs. It's nothing artificial, they're just dried. So if you can't get fresh rosemary, use dried, not a big deal. Okay, so I'm just pulling these off of the stems, and then I'm gonna chop it all. So I've got thyme. The best way to deal with thyme is the same way as rosemary. Hold the top, pull it back, okay? And the thyme is pretty much gonna come off the way that you want it to in little pieces, but occasionally you'll get the stem and you need to try and remove that. It's not the end of the world if there's 1 or 2 left in there. I just like to have all the little leaves separated. So the amount of rosemary I have is about a tablespoon once I've chopped it up. It looks like more than that because it's got, you know, the big leaves and it piles differently, but once you chop it up, it's about a tablespoon. And the thyme will be pretty close to the same. If you're pulling out of a garden, it's a large sprig, maybe a little more. This will probably be a little bit more. I like thyme though, especially with poultry. So I tend to go a little heavy on the thyme in my poultry dishes. So what I wanna do, I'm gonna go ahead and just dump the thyme in there. And then I'm going to start chopping up my rosemary. As a reminder, I haven't said it for a while, when you're scraping on your cutting board, use the back of your knife to do it. Your knives need to be sharpened and honed, but the more you use the side of your sharp end to scrape things, the faster it dulls, basically. So if you want to extend your knife's sharpness, if you don't sharpen them yourself specifically, then simply use the back of your knife to scrape your food. Or use a bench knife, which I've shown you before. I love my bench knife. I should probably get it out for this. I I'm just chopping this up finely. If this was going into a bread oil or something, I would be probably tearing it instead, but okay. Here is my bench knife to get all of this up off my cutting board and into the butter. Okay, I'm just gonna give it a stir. You can see some of it's kind of melted more than others because I melted it a little too much, so I put it back in the fridge. So it would start to solidify some, but I still need it to be spreadable. So this is a really good consistency. I'm just gonna try and mash out any larger clumps of butter so that these flavors can work their way into the butter while we prepare the turkey. So I'm gonna get rid of this cutting board because I always use a plastic one for the meats because juices and things that leach into your wood cutting boards can grow bacteria over time. So part of my turkey, I have oranges. Well, these are mandarins, but you can use a whole orange, a smaller one, 1 celery stick, 1 carrot, 1 apple, and 1 onion. And we're gonna put those right inside the turkey after I cut them up, but we need to prepare our turkey. What we need to do, I've already rinsed it and I've let it sit in this bowl. I'm hoping it drips out a little bit more. I should grab some paper towels, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, and I've seen some debate on whether or not you should rinse your turkey. Oh, it contaminates your sink. Well, my sink is stainless steel and I'm gonna clean it. So I just wanna rinse it. So what you wanna do is look, you'll see these little feather tips sometimes in your turkey, and you wanna get those out. So there's some right here on the top. Can you see that right there? And so you can just grab them. You can use tweezers. Sometimes if you treat it like a pimple, they'll come out, but I find you can just grab it. So you're gonna pull those off throughout your whole turkey. Some of the places I suggest really looking is like under the wings and in any part where the skin meets, because that's typically where you find the most, if you're going to even find them. So I'm gonna pull this open and see what's in there. That one's actually really clean. This one's looking really good. They did a good job. Good job, Butterball. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now, I need to remove the neck, which is usually in the cavity, and there's usually a bag of giblets. You can throw it, you can use it. I'm going to make a separate video. I'm gonna do giblet gravy. What about the drippings, Michelle? Don't worry, you can use the drippings too. Okay, so I feel pretty good about all that. I'm just gonna pat it dry. Why would we pat it dry? Well, we want the butter to stick to the turkey as much as possible, and if it's got a lot of moisture, it's less likely to stick. So I wanna get moisture off of it and pat it dry. And I would not recommend using a kitchen towel. It's gonna have fuzz on it. It's gonna have whatever germs and dirt on it. Go ahead and be wasteful this one time and use paper towels. You'll keep getting inner drippings, so that's why I set it up like this to get some of those gone. I'm gonna go ahead and pat inside. If you reach in and there's still chunks of ice, your turkey's not thawed. So the general rule of thumb, thaw it 24 hours in the fridge for every 5 pounds of turkey. And if your fridge tends to run a little colder, add some time to that. You want it to be nice and thawed. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of this. There's a couple steps that need to happen here. So I'm gonna prep my veggies real quick, which I probably could have done before I moved the cutting board. I'm cutting off the tips of the onion, and I'm just taking off the outer layer, quartered it, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with the apple. This is not a traditional stuffing that we're gonna eat. The oranges, if you're using a large orange, go ahead and quarter it, but these are the small ones. Please make sure you've washed all of your fruits and vegetables that are going in here. Carrot, I'm not even gonna cut the tip off because it's going right on in there. I just cut it. You can cut it into thirds or quarters. Okay. The idea is it's gonna go in here in layers. You're not gonna put all the onion in, and then I'll show you. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, let me turn it this way so you can see, is take some of this butter, a good amount, and just put it right there. And this is where you start to get your hands dirty, okay? Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. You're going to stick your hands in there, and you're going to rub the entire cavity with this butter. And you might as well just go ahead and stick it in the bowl, because you're not going to be saving any of this butter, because it's going back and forth between the turkey and the bowl, and it will be contaminated. So don't save this butter for something else, okay? Use it all. So that's done. Now I want to put in half of my onion, half of my orange, half of my apple, and this probably isn't gonna all fit because it's a smaller turkey, and that's okay. We'll use what we can fit, okay? So I'm just gonna keep going until I can't fit any more in. And if you really want to, you could take your orange before you stuff it and grate some of the peel into your butter, and that'll get a nice flavor on the outside. I'm gonna flip my turkey over, okay? I'm gonna bring over my pan because I'm gonna need it real soon. Let's talk about the pan. If you don't have a pan with a rack that's big enough for whatever size turkey you have, it's okay. Take carrots, onions, and celery, chop them up, and fill the entire bottom of the pan with it, and set your turkey on that. It will keep your turkey off the bottom and season your turkey. So feel free to do it that way. You don't need a pan with a rack. You can improvise, okay? So now what I want to do is take more butter, and we are going to just slather it all over the place, okay? Get in the wings, under the wings, everywhere, okay? You can use a brush. I got one out, but my hands are already covered in it. So I'm going to take the skin here and just make sure I get, there's meat here, and I'll show you when I flip it over, that is exposed, and you want to definitely cover that with butter. So I'm going to take my turkey, I'm going to flip it over into my pan. Ugh, there we go. Barely fits in here. Something you'll notice with this turkey, Butterball went ahead and cut a slit and put the legs in there, which we'll take out and then put them back in. If your turkey doesn't have this and you can't figure out how to cut it in a way that doesn't tear, then go ahead and use twine to close up the legs together. No, it's not a modesty thing. It's a roasting time thing. Okay, so I'm going to turn this sideways, and I'm going to show you, not sideways, backwards. Can you see the meat there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand carefully and gently, and I'm separating the skin from the meat just as far as I can go. Why? Sorry, I'm doing it again. Separating it as far as I can on either side of the spine, being careful not to tear the skin open. And I'm creating cavities. Why am I doing that? Anybody? To get butter, to get the butter and herbs under the skin, okay? So I'm gonna get it back as far as I can. It's very messy. Don't expect to be clean when you're done. At least not with your hands. It's like being a surgeon without being a surgeon. I don't know. I'll stop. But you can see, if you look through the skin, now you can see that there's herbs under the skin. So I'm trying to get it back as far as I can. Feel free to use plenty. It's really gonna season that meat and make it delicious. You'll notice I didn't brine my turkey. I purposely intended this to be an easier turkey to do. And using the butter and coming under the skin the way that we have means that we don't need to brine it. Next, we are going to turn this around so you can see it. I tried to remember to do that so you guys can see what I'm doing. We're gonna carefully untuck the legs, okay? Ooh, these have a lot of hidden feathers. Here, we gotta pull those out. Do you see this? Look at all this. I want that gone. I take it back, Butterball. What happened? Okay, now, the reason I untucked them is because we want to get plenty of butter in all of our creases and cavities, spaces and places. Okay. So I want to make sure I'm getting down under here. And then you can go ahead and tuck them back the way that they were, or if you're tying them, go ahead and tie them, okay? There we go. Now that's ready. So I've already done the bottom side. Now I'm going to turn it this way. I'm going to do under the wing here. Is that the armpit? Okay. It fell after I got it off. You're gonna take the wing and you're going to tuck it underneath, and it's almost gonna feel like you're breaking it, but look where the wing is now. Why do we do this? Wing tips burn and get crusty and hard really quick and easy. So that is just a quick and simple way to get it removed from that situation, and it tucks it under that turkey where the juices are gonna be dripping on it, and then you no longer have the issue of burnt wingtip. And those wings make excellent broth. There we go. I'm trying to get it centered. This pan's almost too small for this turkey, but that's what I have here. So I should have brought a bigger one from home kitchen. Okay, now that's done. So once I've got all this butter on here, I'm gonna pop it in the oven. 325 degrees, and we're gonna go 15 to 18 minutes a pound. 365 degrees is the temperature we need to get it to. I'm gonna pull mine at 360 degrees. I'm gonna tent it with foil and let it carry over cook, okay? And I'm not gonna start it covered in foil. However, if the top is starting to get too brown, I'm gonna check it, I'm gonna cover it with foil. That's my TED Talk. Don't keep checking the oven with opening it. Use the light if you have a light in the oven, because every time you open that oven, it changes your temperature. So I'm gonna clean up my hands, and then I'm gonna get this turkey going. I gotta take it down to my personal kitchen and get it roasted, and then I'll bring it back here and we'll carve it. Here we are, moment of truth. Look at this beautiful bird. Isn't that gorgeous? Okay, now I'm gonna use my turkey lifters and just drain it out like so. I've got all these delicious, beautiful drippings from the bird, and I am gonna save that and add it to the gravy that I've made later, but I need to separate the fats. So that'll be a whole process of putting it in a container after I've put it through a sieve and then getting rid of the excess fats off the top. So I'm just gonna take out the stuff in the center here. Okay, and then we're gonna go through how to carve it. It's been resting for about 25 minutes or so. I took it out a little earlier, and so I needed to let that breast meat cook a little more. And don't forget, it carryover cooks, so if you pull it at 160 and let it rest, it will continue to cook. All right, so I've got my turkey here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just separate that little part. If you've got the legs tied together, simply just cut the twine and get rid of it. Okay, so what I want to do, there's a natural line right here on the bird, and you're just going to kind of separate that skin and then push, and you'll see there is a continued natural line, and what you want to do is continue to push it, and it is warm. There we go. And I've got my super sharp shun knife here, and you're just going to follow that line until it separates. Okay, I can kind of feel it, and you should be able to see it and feel it. There's the joint right there. Okay, and watch your fingers. These knives are particularly sharp. I'm having a hard time. I'm trying to show it to you and get the right angle, and it's not cooperating. Okay, so I think I just need to bend it back a little bit more. There it is. So you see how I bent it and it just kind of came? There's a little spot right here you need to separate. There we go, done. Okay, so there is one thigh and drumstick. Let's put it that way, it's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna leave the wings on, and the reason we leave the wings on is to keep the bird stable as we continue to cut it up. A lot of these juices are from the cavity where the vegetables and stuff were, and now that I've tipped it and tossed it and whatnot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of my turkey lifters and get rid of some more of that by doing that. You see that? All right, let me get rid of some of this so that we're not sliding everywhere. I'm gonna take, I have this for slicing later, the backbone right here. I'm just gonna take my knife and run it along the backbone, okay? And I wanna try and keep as much of this nice, beautiful golden skin intact. Now, I'm gonna take my bigger knife and cut along the rib and breastbone. And what I wanna do is remove the meat from the ribs without leaving very much of the breast behind. Okay, so you just got to find the guides. There was one bone there, and cut it naturally. So the bird has natural separations. If you can find them, that will help you. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it, ooh, that's hot, 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 hot. Turn it this way, and you'll see down here, I can just cut it and separate this beautiful breast. Okay, there we go. Now that is on the plate. A little, see, I missed a little here, but you know, I feel like that's a good way to check your flavor. Oh my God, you guys. I knocked this one out of the park. Toot, toot my own horn. Okay, now the wings, same thing. If you just bend them, you'll see this bone, and you can just cut, 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 okay? And you can take the tips and separate, yum, separate them for stock if you'd like. Now I need to slice up a breast, okay? So the grain goes this way, and we want to cut against the grain, and I want to try and keep this skin intact. So I'm going to try and get nice even slices, like so. And that is going beautiful. Okay, I cleaned off my plate a little bit. I wanted it to be a beautiful presentation. I'm going to take my knife and just slide it under all of those pieces of beautifully sliced turkey breast. Each of them has the skin. Okay, now for your thigh and drumstick, just pull them apart like that. You'll find that joint again and just cut through it. You can debone the thigh or you can leave it whole. I'm going to leave mine whole. Do you need to see me debone it? I'll do it. You know what? I think I'll do it because this was a request from Carl Smith to see how I cook and carve a turkey. So I think, Carl Smith, for you, we are going to go ahead and debone this one thigh. So what you're going to do is go in and find the bone, which is right here, and you can almost peel it apart, but just run your knife along the bone and try not to cut all the way through if you want to keep that piece whole. But this dark meat is just delicious. Save your bones for stock. There we go. Now you've got a boneless thigh. Thanks for joining me here today in the Let's Make Food from Food kitchen on another kitchen adventure. We've roasted a turkey, simply done. We've carved it, no fuss, no muss, and we made some delicious turkey gravy. From my kitchen to yours, let's make food from food, and happy Thanksgiving.
That's one boy puppy.